Rockstar Gang? What up? What up? What up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. We started 5 minutes early, but it's all good. We'll let the late stragglers come in, obviously, because I did put it up at 8:15 tonight. Today's a late night live stream, but I have so much to talk about, man. We're going to be talking about this roster crisis for the Carolina Panthers. We're going to be talking about this joint practice matchups that I'm looking forward to. Some news, some updates, and then of course we're going to be also talking about the Matthew Judon trade between the Falcons and how that affects the Carolina Panthers. Like, there's so much going on right now. Brandon Ayuk still searching a trade. CeeDee Lamb. That whole rumor going around out there. There's a lot in the NFL that's going on right now, but the biggest thing I want to talk about is the Matthew Judon thing tonight. But the other thing is I got a couple rants. Two rants that have to do with Brant Tillis and Dan Morgan, and one rant that has to do with Dave Canales. All right, now don't get too crazy. Like, you think I'm going to be negative. Like, part of it's going to be negative. Yeah. Part of it's going to be negative, but also part of it is also going to be positive. So, and not ever optimistic or anything like that. So, guys, on your way in, do me a favor. Smash that like button like it owes you money, man. Keep pounding that like button. No pun intended. All right. Keep pounding that like button. No pun intended. Live goal 50 likes right here, right now. All right. Live goal 50 likes. I would greatly appreciate that. So again, I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Guys, shout out to you guys who came through last night for the NFC South Roundtable. I really appreciate that. We got over 1,100 views, and it's still growing over there. And that's huge for the second episode. So shout out to you guys who came over there, showed your support. I really appreciate that, because we are trying to grow that thing over there. And it was an excellent show last night. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a malfunction, but other than that, man, it was a great show. Other than that, we rebounded, came right back, and it was an even better show. So I appreciate every one of you guys that came over there to the NFC South Roundtable. And speaking of the NFC South Roundtable, let's go play the clip.
Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube, featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings, the AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST, the NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST, the NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports, real coverage from real fans.
All right, guys. So I appreciate that. So shout out to Roundtable Sports, man. It's been fun so far just doing the 2 episodes. So I can't wait for much more. And obviously, we're just trying to build that thing up as much as possible. So shout out to Marcos Cash in the chat, Jadarius. We got Anthony Brown, D Perkins. So guys, feel free to get in the chat. Love to hear y'all's thoughts as we go throughout today's live stream. And of course, also make sure you pound the like button. Shout out to BetUS. Sign up for free today. Get 3 chances. You'll get 3 bonuses on your first 3 bets of 125%. So if you're betting degenerate like myself, check out BetUS. You probably shouldn't be betting on preseason games, but I am. So BetUS is the best way to do it. All right. Like the new background, Clay. Appreciate it, man. This is just getting started. That background, I am already on the move of getting some cool, like, this is going to be like a Panthers man cave once I'm done with it. And it's going to have like I'm going to have all 4 guys, Keegley, Peppers, Steve Smith, Cam, of course, Olsen. I got a bunch of stuff coming for a bunch of different guys. So all I know is our backups and reserves and offensive line are concerning, hoping our starters are healthy. I knew what you meant though. I knew what you meant. All right, let's dive right into it, guys. Let's dive right into it. Enough of the chit chat. Enough of the chit chat. All right. All right, let's get right into it. All right, first things first. Deontay Johnson out with a mild groin strain. So, what's the scoop on that? As we know of today, the training camp session, he was out due to, and he was missing for the morning drills, which was sparking a lot of tweets trying to figure out where his whereabouts were. Coach Dave Canales came out. Providing an update on his status, dealing with a mild groin strain. They say as of right now, he's day to day at the moment. He went on. Basically, Canales came out and explained that while Johnson is feeling some discomfort, but he said that he's basically confident that his ability to manage his recovery. His absence to me right now, I'm not too concerning about it, but it does just add this layer to me because of these recent transitions that we've made, right? Because we acquired him in the Pittsburgh Steelers trade, right? Earlier this offseason. So Johnson's move was a significant swap, in my opinion, right? With the whole Dante Jackson, right? Where we are very thin at that corner room. And don't worry, guys. I've got some rants today. I've got some rants today. So that's part of it. That corner room. But so you make that trade, right? Now the injury report comes out. You got Xavier Legette, who's also was dealing with some injury concerns, who was back today. He was sidelined for 10 days with that foot injury. He's there's all good news there on that front. So he's made his return. But what this means is for us is that Johnson's groin strain, to me, even though it's described as mild, his absence for practice, I think, is notable for development, right? Especially for this team who, of course, is going through this training camp. Every practice is crucial for this team right now. The opportunity for these players to gel, establish that chemistry is just so important. I can't like stress that enough, because his downtime means missing chances to build that rapport with his new teammates, learning the nuances. Now, again, they've had a lot of time, right? And he's probably up to date with the playbook. He's definitely already built some rapport, but this is the time that we want to continue to build that rapport, right? We only have a short period of time till week 1, right? Obviously, they're going to keep a close eye on his recovery. I'm sure if it's just day to day, it's nothing to really stress about. It just is concerning with the fact that we have constantly seen player after player, sideline after sideline. It's frustrating to see. Mad Chatter's in here. Raw Walk's in here. What's up? Cornbread's in here. What's up? Appreciate it, man. Listening while doing dishes. There you go. There you go. There you go. That's one way to listen. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you do me a favor, guys. Make sure you pound that like button. We are trying to get to 50 likes. That is the live goal today. All right. All right. So, again, injuries are inevitable of this part of the game, but again, it's still concerning to me to just see all these guys, these strains, and some of these aren't major alarming. Luckily enough, Legette's wasn't, right. We're going to talk about more about some other injuries concerns, but obviously stay tuned for more updates on Deontay Johnson's recovery. I'll obviously be continue to update you guys on that as well. All right. Bryce Young. We need to talk about the elephant in the room. If you're not crashing and burning occasionally, right? Are you really pushing the envelope? Right? It's a good question to ask, right? With everything that's going on. That was the mantra of the Carolina Panthers training camp, I felt like, today. that question right there because I was, was tuning in on Twitter. Unfortunately, not being able to be there. Just again, thank God for Twitter. But this, Bryce Young today was just for some reason magnetically drawn to the hands of the defense today. Let's just say this. The defense took Bryce Young back to school. All right. This was marked by a series of missteps by him. He threw and I saw the video of the Troy Hill interception. It was an erratic throw. And that one was an erratic throw, and then the one by Shy Tuttle was just a hell of a play. It just resulted into some notable interceptions today. First up, Tuttle, who must have felt like he'd won the lottery when he somehow misguided Bryce Young's pass, landed squarely in his grasp. Watch that clip too. These mishaps had Bryce Young running extra sprints. Might some call gassers, right? So just to remind him he needs to take care of the football. But Hill made a great play. He anticipated that pass by Adam Thielen. Just jumping the route, intercepting the ball for a pick six. The defense erupted, and the Young's practice session just apparently was in a series of just really a lot of frustrating moments today. Obviously, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is part of the thing. What's up, PPG? Going 0-17. Oh man, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough being a Panthers fan. If you think it's tough being a Panthers fan, guys, and being a Panthers fan and a YouTuber and a content creator for this team. If you think that's bad, this is a little bit worse, or not worse, but tougher. Mad Chatter going crazy in here. Lomax, what's up, man? Appreciate you joining. So welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Good evening. So again, Bryce Young, not a good day. Dave Canales is basically having this glass half full perspective. I'm not sure if I'm buying it. Again, this guy is going to continue to take that upbeat approach. I like it, but sometimes I would love for this guy to just come to the podium and say, we just fucking sucked today. Right. I just, part of me is like, I love the optimism, but sometimes I would love to just hear the brutal honesty out of him. Right. I would love for Dave Canales to come up and be like a smart ass and be like, oh yeah, we were great, but we actually fucking sucked today. Right. Like I want that. Right. Like I want to see, Dave Canales. Like I get it. Granted, he is an upbeat guy. I like that. He's Pete Carroll 2.0, hopefully in the coaching game as well. But I just want to see him be a little bit more just, we were ass today. We were terrible. So, yeah, I mean, even though despite the rough day, he was just a glass half full guy today. He just continued to, as you can see here, this quote, this next one here, which this is what we're going to talk about here shortly, the Jets mini camp. But let me go back to this image real quick here. Let me go back to the Bryce image because that's who we're talking about right now. We'll get into the Dave Canales thing, but the glass half full approach just doesn't do it for me, right? At least from what I'm seeing on Twitter, I'm seeing enough to where it's like, yo, we should be saying we were terrible. And so he kept saying there's a silver lining here. So, I mean, here's the good news I will say about today, right? And Bryce Young, those interceptions are music to the Panthers' ears. Okay. Last season, right? There is a silver lining in this. Not for Bryce Young, though. I will say that. The silver lining is in the defense, right? Those interceptions to me are music to my ears because last season we were dead last in the NFL for takeaways. Okay. So seeing these takeaways, right? seeing these takeaways and hearing these takeaways is what I want to see, right? Unfortunately for Bryce Young, it's a bad look, but there is a silver lining there, right? Chris Mack, yeah, I saw it. We're going to discuss that Judon trade. We're going to discuss the Judon trade today. So there is a silver lining here, but unfortunately, it's not for Bryce Young, right? Because last year, even though this defense performed very well, they allowing only the fourth fewest yards per game last year, but they lagged behind with just 11 interceptions and only like 3 fumble recoveries. So, that's the silver lining here. We're seeing more takeaways in training camp. Hopefully that transitions right into the regular season. Now, you see Young struggling. And you see Young struggles. It's almost like it's a positive indicator, though, because that means our defense has grown, right? Right. It's a sign that this defense is capitalized on these opportunities. After all, if the defense is snagging these passes, it means that they're doing something right. There's a clear picture of how this. We've got the Jets practice coming up. We're going to talk more about that. You talk about a defense that Bryce is gonna that's a matchup I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to talk more about that here shortly. But let's get into the next topic here. So Dave Canales, man. So he came out and basically said, he was unshaken by the whole Bryce Young thing, basically, right? It was one of the, because I still feel like today, looking and hearing about the training camp, it was like one of those days, right? Right? It was one of those days you'd rather forget about Bryce Young, right? In my opinion, right? The excitement, the high expectations, but the practice, it was second to last of camp, right? And it turned out to be a real doozy. Based off what I'm seeing on Twitter, it was a huge fiasco, really. So again, Dave Canales, again, just being what it is. Now, here is the next crucial test, and based off this quote that Dave Canales said here. For Young, the opportunity to turn things around comes quickly, right? Tomorrow, the Panthers are set to face the Jets in Charlotte. This joint practice, to me, is more than just a formality. It's a vital, legitimate test for how well this team has been revamped. To me, it is shaping up before the season opener against the New Orleans Saints. And the Jets, boasting one of the league's most formidable young defenses, in my opinion. They're no pushovers. You got guys like all-pro talents like Sauce Gardner, Quinnen Williams. That's a significant test. So for me, if the Panthers offense can't get its act together, the Jets are going to exploit every weakness we have. They're going to make this practice a must watch, and it's going to be a miserable one for Panthers fans, in my opinion. So for Young and the rest of the starters, this is a golden chance for you to break free of this rut. Okay. The preseason opener against New England already behind us. Now, again, that has nothing to do with the starters, right? That was all backups. Okay. So you had 33 guys that didn't start, right? And most of those guys are starters, right? So the regular season looming, these joint practices are going to be crucial for us. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that. But we're also going to dive into why I think Carolina needs to start their starters on Saturday against the Jets in the preseason game. Unfortunate news. Okay. Unfortunate news. Okay. Dane Jackson was carted off. Dane Jackson was carted off. All right. So, luckily enough for us, I am going to give you some good news. Okay. Because we did have some guys that returned. Okay. We had some guys that returned. All right. What do we got? Bryce is struggling. That's a positive. I never said that, Matt Chowder. You obviously didn't. You obviously didn't hear what I said. I said the silver lining is the defense in that. Did not say that, but Bryce Young is struggling is positive. I said it's positive for the defense. Did not say it was positive for Bryce Young. You're obviously not listening. Oh, Lord. So, again, there has been some injuries. We got some guys coming back. We did have some guys come back today. Andy Dalton returned after he had that minor quad injury. He came back. His return in particular, the timing, given that Bryce Young has been handled with kitty gloves, in my opinion. With Dalton back, the Panthers can, I think, take a breathe of sigh of relief and avoid another shaky performance under undrafted Jack Plummer, who struggled mightily in last week's preseason game against the New England Patriots. I think Dalton's presence should provide more stability behind center as the team is gearing up. Now, here's the thing. Damian Lewis steps back in, left guard. Damian Lewis is also making a comeback, right? After a brief absence due to a family matter, Lewis is back on the field just in time to bolster up this offensive line. It's crucial for his return, especially considering the rough showing we saw against that backup offensive line against the New England Patriots. Damian Lewis is back in this lineup. It's going to shore up that protection against the Jets. That's a formidable interior defensive line there that the Jets had, especially going up against a guy like Quinnen Williams. Williams is arguably probably the top interior defensive line in the league now, especially with the fact that Aaron Donald has retired. So making Lewis return, having Lewis return, that's a huge significant. Linebacker Shaq Thompson, a key defensive player for the Panthers, full participation in today's camp. His return to full health is a welcoming sight, providing that defense that much needed leadership and skill set he brings to the table. His presence on the field alone, I think a lot of people do sleep on, even though the production numbers aren't there. But he helps this defense prepare just with that leadership skill alone. So, unfortunately, bad news. Dane Jackson, though, again, left practice early due to a tight hamstring, which required him to be carted off the field. Now, again, it's just a tight hamstring. Now, I don't think there's anything else that's come out more than that. To me, this is a major concern, given that we already have thin depth at the corner position. And Jackson just signed a 2-year deal with us. It's worth up $14.5 million this spring. And he was projected to be the starter alongside J.C. Horn. And we all know that Horn himself has had a history of injuries. So making Jackson's health all more critical. And who has been pounding the table to tell you guys, has been telling you guys that the Carolina Panthers need to go out and bring in at least 2 more corners? This guy. I have been pounding the table. That is part of my rant today. I do want to go back and talk about this Canales thing, though, real quick, because I don't think I actually got to harp on it enough, because it's going to transition to my next rant as well. All right. So Dave Canales delays the starter decisions. All right. So basically, I'm going to tell you guys what to watch for in this preseason game. When it comes to preseason action, this team are playing their cards close to their chest. Dave Canales is playing his cards close to his chest. I'm trying to figure out what the word is, and I can't figure it out, so I'm going to skip it. So he has left us fans and reporters in suspense to figure out who's going to hit the field in Saturday's preseason game. As Canales wraps up this morning's session, he came out with the reporters on the eve of this high-profile joint practice with the Jets that we're having tomorrow. And the question on everybody's mind is clear. Who is going to start in Saturday's preseason game? Canales' response was basically he's just jumping over hoops. He was just jumping over the question, and he kind of just said that tomorrow's joint practice against the Jets, he just said it's a golden opportunity. as you can see here. He says it's an awesome opportunity tomorrow with the joint practice Jets. So as we come out of these practices, the health of the group kind of determines who can play, who we can play, and who we can't. So we probably again just hold off for a couple of days before we make that decision. Here is the thing: it's a strategic move that does leave us wondering, us fans longing for that glimpse of a full squad. Canales and coaching staff are going to decide to, are they going to decide to rest a whopping 33 players again, right? Like they did against New England, which resulted in a game I had to turn off at a certain point. I had to turn it off. I didn't want to watch it anymore. $55. And so, here's the thing. Like, the lone starter who made an appearance was Jonathan Mingo, while the rest of these guys rested on the sideline. Like, rest of the starting lineup just watched from the sidelines. Like, what's at stake here, right? That's the thing. Like, what's at stake here that you feel like you got to baby these guys? These guys need to start taking hits now. That's how we prevent injuries, to get their bodies used to taking hits. What does this mean? Right? The joint practice will offer us a sneak peek into how the Panthers are shaping up against a formidable defense like the Jets. It will play a significant role, obviously, in deciding which players get the nod for that exhibition contest on Saturday. But I expect a high-stakes practice where every play and every decision is going to be scrutinized, as it will direct the impact of the roster for decisions on Saturday. Now, this is going to lead into my next thing. So Dane Jackson's out, right? Here's my rant on this whole Dane Jackson thing. Okay? Here's my whole rant about this Dane Jackson thing, okay? It's time to hit the panic button, folks, and scream it from the rooftops. I don't know how you have to do it. Figure it out. Tweet David Tepper. Tweet at Dan Morgan. I don't care. Figure out where he lives. Send him mail. I don't care how you have to do it. Okay? This corner depth, looking at this image alone, is as flat as a pancake at a breakfast buffet. Okay? This has been a shaky secondary since it came together. Why didn't we go? This is the thing I was talking about. Like, when we look at these certain positions on this team, I love Xavier Legette, but I think I could have skipped out on him. I'm not going to lie to you. We should have went for a center. We should have went for a pass rusher. We should have went for a corner. Those were the three biggest ones for me. I thought I had wide receiver fourth on my list. As much as I love Xavier Legette, I knew that wide receiver separation wasn't an issue. But if you got Deontay Johnson, you already had two solidified wide receivers with Adam Thielen, and Mingo's already kind of shown out a little bit in training camp and has been working with Steve Smith Sr. all season. Why didn't you go out and get those three positions that were of need? Because now this is showing why I said the things I said to pre-draft things, that we needed those three big things there. I was a huge wide receiver guy too, but they were fourth on my list, right? So the latest blow now is this, right? On what was supposed to be just a routine day of training camp, you get this guy's departure. Tightness in a hamstring. Had to be carted off the field. He just joined us here. So let me be brutally honest here. If the cornerback depth were a swimming pool, the Panthers version would be more like more akin to a kiddie pool. Yeah, we've got J.C. Horn, but the team's number one cornerback who could be a game changer. Don't get me wrong. I believe in J.C. Horn as long as he stays healthy. And again, keywords there, only if. Only if. Yeah, we signed Ford Rudy. Or Rudy Ford, whatever his name is. We'll talk about that here shortly. So, it's just like the recent trade for Dante Jackson for Deontay Johnson seemed fair, right? It's a fair swap on trade. As you can see, I tweeted that today, right? That guy's a Pro Bowler with a solid resume in exchange for Jackson, right? And a 6-round pick. Let's not kid ourselves, though. Let's not kid ourselves, because when we made that trade left us in a cornerback cupboard looking bare. Dan Morgan, Brant Tillis, they were the masterminds of behind this roster decisions. They needed to dial up some reinforcements faster than you can say cornerback crisis. That's what this is. It's not a matter of it, but if. It's more of but when they need to address these glaring issues. That is the issue I've had with this front office for the longest time. They've never addressed the glaring issues. It's not a matter of if, but when. They wait to the last minute to do these glaring issues, and then you're waiting to get on waiver wires, or you're getting some bum off the street, or you're getting some guy off the couch, or some guy coming through transitioning over from the XFL. Just doesn't work that way anymore here in the NFL. So, guys, who's available? Well, there is some guys available. There are some guys available. I'm going to pull up that list right now. Give me a second here. Guys, make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you pound that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Make sure you click that post notifications bell so you don't miss any new content, okay? All right, here we go. So here is the free agent list I took a screenshot of, okay? This is the free agent list I took a screenshot of. And basically, this is what we have left. You got Xavier. All right. So if Morgan and Tillis go ahead and start doing this whole hunt for a cornerback, there's no shortage of names available to beef up that depth chart. They got some potential targets here to avoid. You got Xavier Howard. Guy's been a playmaker. He's 31 years old, though. Has some baby mama issues. We've all heard about that. But he's got a knack for interceptions, but could bring a game-changing presence to the secondary. That's much needed. J.C. Jackson, known to be a ball hawk, right? Played multiple seasons at a high level with New England and Los Angeles. Could provide some kind of stability and some playmaking ability the Panthers desperately need. Adoree Jackson, New York Giants cornerback, has shown flashes of brilliance. Could be a solid addition to this team in need of depth. Stephon Gilmore. No, he's not no longer in his prime. The veteran quarterback and former defensive player of the year definitely brings a lot to the table, especially with that leadership and experience at least. And then, of course, you got Eli Apple, who's a cheap option, who has shown that he can be a competent starter, but I would say he's no better than Dane Jackson. All right. So, again, there's slim pickings in those corners out here. The bottom line is you got to act now, or you're going to face the consequences this upcoming season. This secondary is a critical juncture. With Jackson's injury, even though I don't know how bad it is, adding to the existing concerns in the depth chart. This thing is looking paper thin. It's clear that we need to make a move, preferably sooner rather than later. Now, again, we worked out some deep defensive backs. I don't know if they think that some of these guys that are safeties, are they going to try to transition them to, because we got a lot of safeties on this team. Are we trying to transition some safeties into the corner? Like, I'm just trying to figure out why we're signing all these safeties. Because the clock is ticking. Every day without addressing this issue is another day that the Panthers are going to be risking exposing against these league's top receivers. And we're going up some great receivers in the NFC South. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Drake London. Those guys are great receivers. You got to reinforce this cornerback room before it's too late. And I've been pounding the table on that. So it is what it is, though. I mean, until they do it otherwise, it is what it is. All right, let's move on. All right. Shout out to no Dave Canales. Oh, I do need to give a shout out to some of these tweets here. So shout out to Darren Gant. I gotta always make sure I shout out these people. Joe Parsons, of course. Myself. Of course, I got to give a shout out to for Panthers fans only and not Dave Canales. All right. Let's talk about Mr. Austin Corbett. All right. Basically, he's navigating that center stage. You got Austin Corbett transitioning to center. This has been a journey so far that we've all been involved with, embarking on this journey for Corbett to transition to the center position, right? Okay. All right. When the Carolina Panthers embarked on this move, right? Bryce Young, they didn't just make a splash. They went out, they got $150 million worth of guards, or two guys. Basically, they're spending $150 million on them, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis. And they basically essentially pushing out last year's starters in Brady Christensen and Austin Corbett. So, but in a twist, that's both intriguing and high stakes. Like, the Panthers have decided to reimagine Corbett's role rather than watching him dominate from the right guard position. That's a spot where he's proven his where he's proven his medley. Sorry. And they've moved him to center. And it's a position where, to me, he's yet to see a regular season snap in the NFL. Okay. That's like asking a seasoned chef, right, to just suddenly run the pastry section. It's a gamble with no guarantee of a sweet outcome, right? Like, it's a high risk, high reward gamble. Like Austin Corbett, who was a second round pick back in 2018, he's kind of built this reputation as one of the league's premier interior linemen. And now he finds himself trying to transition to this new role where he's played a few snaps, but he's never played in a true game at center. Like, the move to center is more than a positional change. It's a complete overhaul of responsibilities. Your center really makes your offensive line. He is your conductor. So Corbett skill set makes him a valuable asset to this team. Okay. So, shifting him from right guard to center involves mastering a host of new techniques, responsibilities, snapping the ball accurately. Obviously, we're not seeing that. That's why I'm bringing this up. So, to make split second line calls, that's what he's there to do. So, General Manager Dan Morgan and his team have bet the farm on this transition, opting against signing or drafting a dedicated center. Instead, They're relying on an undrafted rookie, Andrew Ropp, as the only natural center on the roster. That is a risky game of musical chairs. And so far, to me, that music hasn't always been in tune, right? You ever been to a concert or to where a live band somewhere and it was just terrible? It's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, there's a lot of growing pains going on with this roster, right? New faces, new transitions, new positions, new coaching staff, so on and so forth. We can make excuses all day, but it does not matter because we're coming to an end of this training camp. The growing pains of this transition needs to start. We need to start seeing more positives and not just growing pains. We got fans with videos and social media clips from these summer practices. They've highlighted all this stuff, tweets like this, the struggles that Corbett has faced, particularly with terrible snaps that have often just looked more like fumbles waiting to happen. It's a far cry from the smooth. These polished performance these fans are out here watching it, tweeting it, posting videos. It's clear that the adjustment has been anything but seamless. It has not even been close. The snaps have occasionally missed their mark, leading to a few awkward exchanges between him and Bryce Young. The spotlight is unforgiving, and the Panthers fans, we're all watching closely as the clock ticks down to this start of the season. So, I mean, even though despite these hiccups, there's still room for optimism. I mean, Corbett's pedigree and experience does suggest that with time and practice, he could master these nuances of the center position. Don't get me wrong, but training camp is, after all, the proving ground where mistakes are made to be learned from. Now, the real test will be how quickly Corbett can adapt and refine his technique before the games start to count. Right? Before we start these regular season games. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you pound that like button. We got a live goal of 50 likes. I appreciate everybody in here. It's a late night live tonight. So, but head coach Dave Canales is obviously the guy who's got the front row seat to this transition. While he's the one taking the bumps along this road, it's evident that they believe in Corbett's ability to rise to this occasion. That remains to be seen, obviously. I mean, the decision to shift him to center, it's a bold move, man. And if successful, it could turn into a potential weakness into a position of strength. Now, again, we also have concerns over the injuries, right? So this transition to center it's a high stakes gamble by the Panthers, driven by the need to reinforce our offensive line. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure if we go to Spot Track right now, there are some centers that are available still in free agency, which I think one of the names to me would be to go after is Connor McGovern, Scott Quisenberry, probably Corey Lindsley, even though he's older. So they got some guys out there. Again, it's also slim pickings like the corner room, so they could go out and get guys like that. But again, you gotta. I would bring a veteran in. I would not, and I can't rely on Cade Mays because Cade Mays is supposed to be technically supposed to be a backup center, but he's not. We saw what he did against the New England Patriots there in New England in that preseason game. He's not ready for the NFL at all. He's a practice squad player at best. He might as well go ahead and get ready for the XFL. We've got some players on here who honestly need to go ahead and update their resume or go back to school. There is this thing out there for some of you Panthers, some of these Panthers players, there is a thing out there called LinkedIn and Indeed. You should look into that. What's up, broski? What's cracking? Not much, man. It's just a fucking crisis over here for the Carolina Panthers. between the cornerback room and the center position, it's atrocious right now. There is a problem. It's a problem. The cornerback room and the center position is a problem, and Carolina Panthers fans aren't talking about it. I never, I tried to, I think Corbett transitioning is going to be fine, but the depth is a concern there. Right now it's not looking too good though. So we'll see. I heard Five Guys is hiring. Yeah. Hey, broski, I can tell you there's some Panthers players on this team that definitely have a degree, right? They probably graduated college. They should either go back and see if there's a master's program, or maybe they should just go ahead and hop on LinkedIn or Indeed. It's a wonderful app for, jobs, where you can apply for your jobs and update those resumes and stuff like that. So there are some guys on this team that might need to do that. Corbin might be one of them, because who knows how he's going to hold up too with injuries. I know that, like, normally I'm an optimistic guy, but today, after what I've seen and heard from these practices, man, Bryce struggling, the cornerback, the injuries that are happening with this team, Corbett transitioning to center, nothing is smooth sailings right now. Nothing is smooth sailings. Everything was smooth sailings the first week, and a little bit in the second week, but now we're getting down to the nitty gritty, and things are really starting to show their true colors, right? And I just wish that our head coach, Dave Canales, who I do love, and I do feel like he can be a great head coach, I just wish he would just come out here and be like, guys, we were ass today. We were terrible. I would just love for a coach to say, we sucked today. Because at least instead of just being optimistic and all of that every single time, like, I like it, but I would much rather someone just tell me the truth. So this was an interesting take by Shaq Thompson today. Shaq Thompson came out. It wasn't really shots fired, but it made me laugh and smile a little bit. Shaq Thompson came out on the defense and said, basically, linebacker on defense without Burns, basically said, it's not about Burns. And I appreciate that statement. Actually, I honestly appreciate each and every one of these statements, because when it comes to the Carolina Panthers and linebacker Shaq Thompson, Brian Burns is yesterday news. At least that's the vibe that I was getting from Shaq Thompson's press conference today, right? Gave off after Wednesday's training camp practice in a session that was as lighthearted as it was intense. Thompson fielded some questions about how this defense was adjusting to Brian Burns' departure, and I'm glad he talked about that, because I was kind of curious a little bit, right? Brian Burns, a two-time Pro Bowl pass rusher who was really a stalwart in Carolina. I'll give him that. In my opinion, he's not top 10 edge rusher in the NFL, pass rusher in the NFL. I think he's top 12, top 15 at least. But he may change my mind once this upcoming season in New York. So we'll see. But he's obviously moved on to the Giants. Obviously, it leaves a significant void for our defensive line. And basically, with like a little grin and kind of a little bit of a playful bravado, obviously, the first quote he said here was about Brian Burns, basically just saying who needs him, but miss the guy, love the guy, wish him nothing but the best. Obviously, the Burns departure was a big deal, but was it a big deal or was it just business? To me, the Burns, even though he was the part of the defense, he wasn't the heart. I felt like Frankie Louvu and Derek Brown were the heart of our defense. All right. And so, his departure followed a prolonged contract disputes, which saw Carolina ultimately, sending Burns in a 2024 7th-round pick to New York in exchange for a cornerback, or for what 2nd-round pick and a 5th-round pick. Was that what it was again? I can't even remember. Anyways, this deal was a bitter pill. Panthers. It was a bitter pill for a lot of Panthers fans to swallow, right? Given the fact that it was Burns impressive, who had a good track record. Don't get me wrong. 46 sacks, over 246 tackles, a slew of other stats to really kind of showcase a little bit of what he was on the field. But Thompson, Thompson came out and was just like, every team, he's a team player, right? That's what Thompson is. He's kind of channeling that energy into supporting the defense and the new faces, right? As you can see there in the second quote, right? So the new faces, who's going to step up, right? The defensive line is now rotating a carousel of talent. You got Burns gone. Carolina's relying on that mix new and familiar faces to fill the gap. You got free agent acquisitions like DJ Wanum, Calvin Chasen, as well as 2023 third round pick TJ Johnson. So you got also younger guys like some young guns like Iku Leota, Luigi Valon. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Valon. Someone I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his last name. But again, who actually made their mark in their preseason opener. So it was a nice, good mix. So Thompson threw some shade there, but it was just like Burns had a sharp edge of humor, but also an underscore really a deeper point. That's what Thompson's comments are here. I mean, there's no denying the impact that Burns had, that he had, but the Thompson's remark really reflect a shift in the focus of what's going on here, which I think is great. His timing was impeccable, right? The statements that he was making, delivering a line that made the room chuckle, and also he showed respect to Burns' contribution, and he obviously continued to do that as you see these quotes here. But I appreciate him kind of saying, Burns was great when he was here, but now it's time for us to move on and look ahead and go with the team we have. And I kind of wish that's how how Panthers fans were, but some people just can't let it go. The Panthers strategy to replace Brian Burns' production will be a collective effort. I know that. I think Thompson leading the charge, kind of being that leadership, is definitely going to help. Clowney anchoring that line is definitely going to help. The focus will really be on developing that chemistry. That's the biggest thing when it comes to this defensive line. You maximizing that potential of the new recruits, right? Early preseason results have been a mixed bag, but head coach Dave Canales, obviously he's Mr. Optimistic, but Johnson, Leota, Valon have been praised for their efforts, right? The season will be a true test of whether they can match that impact for Burns had. I hope that the Panthers can continue to adapt and evolve on this defense, because the defense is playing very well right now. They are the bright spot once again for the Carolina Panthers, even in training camp and even in the first preseason. It's probably going to continue to be that way. And hopefully it can change as time goes on throughout the season. All eyes will be on how how this team can adjust without guys gone from the defensive standpoint of Burns and Luvu. I love Shaq Thompson's message in this. It's clear that the show has to just go on. And this is a new look to the defense, and it's hopefully it's ready to make a mark, right? Let's see we got any comments here. We got any comments. Guys, make sure you do me a favor. Again, whether you watch wherever you're watching, if you're watching on Twitch or if you're watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you come over here, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate that. It's all free and it takes 1-2 clicks. All right. All right. Let's get into the next one. Much watch showdown, guys. We've got a bunch of matchups that I'm looking forward to. Okay. So everybody grab your popcorn, kick back and relax, settle in. Let's talk about it. This isn't a practice this isn't just another practice in my mind, right? This is a crucial test for this team, right? And head coach Dave Canales, it's a crucial test for Dan Morgan as they edge closer to make the final roster cuts. And trust me, I'm not. I wish I could be there, but it's Twitter is going to be a wonderful thing. And it's something you're not going to want to miss. The Jets are gunning for the Stars in 2024. They're going to be a team that's trying to conquer that AFC East, make a deep playoff run, and hopefully to the Super Bowl. That's Aaron Rodgers, right? When you got Aaron Rodgers back at the helm, right? Impressive raised skill set players and a young dynamic defense, they're poised to challenge the best of the best. Meanwhile, here in Carolina, we're still just trying to figure out if we can wipe our ass and without getting our fingers, stinky, basically. So if they can hold their own, especially on offense, it would be a massive confidence booster for the Carolina Panthers. So let's get into the first matchup here. So first matchup I'm looking forward to in these joint practices, it's going to be Ajir Evero versus Aaron Rodgers. I think this is like a chess match, right? You got Aaron Rodgers, this legend, right? No debate. Future Hall of Famer, quarterback with a resume as dazzling as a fireworks show, right? He has seen it all, done it all, despite a 2023 season that was cut short to that Achilles injury. I really had high hopes for the Jets last year. I'm not going to lie to you. But he's back, ready to dazzle once again. You bring in Ajir Evero. You brought him back. Carolina Panthers were able to get him back, even when hiring Dave Canales. So the Panthers defensive coordinator, a man with a strategy for every occasion, right? The Panthers defense, which has been flexing its muscles in recent practices, they're going to face a tough challenge against Aaron Rodgers in this offense that the Jets have. Breece Hall, Mike Williams, right? Just to name a few guys, Garrett Wilson, they got some dudes over there, okay? They will need to pull out all the stops to confuse. They also got the best, not the best running. I don't know if he's going to be the best running back, but I was very high on him in the draft. They also got Braylon Allen there at the Jets, backing up Breece Hall. I mean, we'll talk about a dynamic running back duo with those two. And they disrupt the Mastro. Can they disrupt the Mastro, the gridiron? That's the question. Can Evero mess around with Aaron Rodgers' head? This defense coming of age. This is a chance really for them to prove more that they're ready to face the elite. And Aaron Rodgers is the elite, right? So next matchup for me is Xavier Legette versus Jets cornerbacks. Now, Legette, obviously, he's back in action today, right? Coming off that foot injury. It's given all the clear for his MRI. He's raring to show. He's raring to show what he could do. This is the opportunity for him to showcase his skills against a Jets secondary. That is as formidable as they come. So I want to watch Legette line up against Sauce Gardner, an all-pro cornerback, right? With a reputation for shutting down receivers. Gardner is if not the top defensive back in the league, one of the top, right? Legette's ability to perform against him, that's going to be a true test of how ready this kid is for this season. Now, let's not forget about DJ Reed on that other side of the ball for the Jets. That's another golden opportunity for Legette to gain some invaluable experience to make a splash. So for these younger guys going up against the defense for this offense particularly, there is a lot of opportunity here for them to really try to prove themselves, right? Are they ready? Are they ready? Are they ready for that spotlight? We shall see. We shall see it. All right, next, another one I'm looking forward to, and I was thinking about it today. That Panthers interior offensive line versus Quinnen Williams is going to be insane, right? You go out, you heavily invest in that offensive line this offseason. You got Robert Hunt, you get Damian Lewis, you brought in to bolster that guard position, right? Austin Corbett's transitioning to center. It's not looking too well right now, as we were talking about it. But they're about to face a test of epic proportions against a guy like Quentin Williams, right? The Jets defense is an absolute dynamo. Williams is a force of nature, obviously capable of wrecking any offensive scheme when he's on a roll. But for Hunt, Lewis, Corbett, this is a chance that they can prove they can hold their ground, protect quarterback Bryce Young. If they fail to contain Williams, it could spell trouble for Bryce Young and this Panthers offensive rhythm. And again, luckily enough, this is only a joint practice. This is where you iron out the kinks, but it's something I'm looking forward to as well. Another one, J.C. Horn. Can he lock down Garrett Wilson? Now, I know it's just practice, but this is one of the ones I'm looking forward to too. Obviously, you got J.C. Horn, who could be that cornerstone for the Carolina Panthers defense if he stays healthy and remains healthy. I think J.C. Horn is a cornerback with the talent to rank among like a guy like Sauce Gardner if he's healthy. And if he can stay healthy, I think he can. His career has been mirrored with injuries, but when he's healthy, he is sharp as they come. So what's the next test for him? You got Garrett Wilson, a guy who's a rising star, a guy who's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, right? Since he's became in the league, if I'm not mistaken, who has been just he's made headlines, stellar performances. He's a route running machine. His route running is a thing of beauty, right? I think Horn is definitely going to need to bring his A game to keep up. This matchup is a clash waiting to happen. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fascinating to see if Horn can really rise to that occasion and solidify his status. I know it's just a practice, but I'm looking forward to seeing that. And then last but not least, of course, simple, easy as that. Bryce Young versus this Jets defense, right? The Panthers have been playing it cautious with Bryce Young, opting to not showcase him in pretty much every preseason game, even though it's only been one, but there has been rumors that it could be every one of them. The joint practice is likely his best chance to face a serious NFL competition before the season starts. The Jets defense is one of the league's most athletic, formidable defense. I think they actually, if they can keep Hassan Reddick, they might have the best defense in the league. If they somehow can get Hassan Reddick to stay there in New York, they might have this somehow. They might have the best defense in the league. So you got playmakers all over the field for them. Young is going to have to be sharp, right? He's going to have to be composed. He's going to have to navigate this offense through a minefield of what the New York Jets defense is. So I think this practice will be a crucial test, right, of his ability to lead the offense, build chemistry with his new teammates. The outcome, I think, could provide some valuable insight into how well the Panthers offense is coming together. This joint practice isn't just a formality. It can showcase some promises to hopefully either entertaining or revealing. I think that you don't want to miss out on these matchups. But here is the thing. I'm going to stay on this screen for a second because I have a little bit of a rant here. Here's why the Panthers need to bring out Bryce Young and the starters in the next preseason game, okay? All right, because the Carolina Panthers next preseason game is not, again, we were just talking about these matchups. It's not a scrimmage this next preseason game to me. It's ultimately a proving ground, right? You got the New York Jets rolling into town, right? So there's no better time for this team to go out there and showcase their top tier talent, right? The Jets is a true measuring stick. First things first, the New York Jets are no slouch, right? You got a roster with brimming of talent, right? Including the likes of you got Quentin Williams, Sauce Gardner, CJ Mosley, Hassan Reddick if he's playing, DJ Reed, don't sleep on him, right? You got a lot of the elite competition that needs to be gauged for true readiness for the regular season. This isn't just another run-of-the-mill preseason game. You're facing a defense that boasts both a formidable pass rush and a lockdown secondary. It provides an invaluable opportunity for the Panthers to test this offensive lines, right? It also can test how well their new pieces fit together, who to better to go up against the New York Jets and let Bryce Young go out there, right? Bryce Young has been the talk of the town since the Panthers snagged him in the first overall. This is the reason why I want him to play in a preseason game, right? This is why I want him to play in a preseason game because of that. It's going to help his development. We've seen glimpses of potential, but it's time to take the training wheels off this kid and see what he can do in live action and settling him against a formidable opponent. His development is crucial for this team's success this year, guys. He's been sidelined, obviously, for the first preseason game, right? He's gotten a lot of practice in. He's been at training camp, so on and so forth. But now is the moment to unleash him. He should have played the first game, in my opinion. These guys this first team should be taking reps at least in the first quarter, offense and defense, in my opinion. You're unleashing him against a top-tier competition. See how he performs under pressure. This is where the rubber meets the road, right? It's a perfect opportunity for him to build chemistry with this offense and showcase his playmaking abilities in a live game, right? You got all these new faces, new head coach. Take the training wheels off and let these starters go out there and do what they're supposed to do, right? Let them go out there and do that. I'm sick and tired of babying these guys. The offensive line is another one. Like, we made some bold moves on this offensive line, right? You shift Austin Corbett to the center. He's never played in a regular season game. You revamp the offensive line with Robert Hunt and Damian Lewis, right? At least you think so. So it's imperative that I, as a fan, see how well those pieces mesh in a real game scenario. Starting young in the first string offensive line against the Jets, that provides a real world test of their cohesion and effectiveness. It's one thing to practice, right, against your own teammates. It's one thing to practice the Jets in a practice setting. It's an entirely different thing facing them in a real live game. Again, it's preseason, but if they're putting their starters out there, why aren't we, right? You need to test every gap and adjustment on this team. This is the time to work out those kinks and ensure that everything that you have done with this unit, whether and no matter what position, that they're all in sync before the real games start counting, right? This also gives you time to assess those new additions, man. You bring in guys, like I was saying, Damian Lewis, Robert Hunt, Jadavion Sanders, for example, Xavier Legette, UG, or what was his name? UG Nishman, right? I mean, I'm just throwing names out there, right? A bunch of different new guys. I want to see what the running backs can do in this wide zone scheme, right? Because we're getting told that this is going to be a run first offense. Like, you got to finally, like, just take the training wheels off and let's put them out there. It's crucial to see how these players integrate with the existing roster and contribute to both sides of the ball. This is going to provide us some insight into their readiness and the effectiveness that this team can be. Let's not forget the fans, those loyal souls that are going to these preseason games who have the brave elements and unpredictable nature of preseason football to support their team. It's starting Bryce Young and the other key starters sends a message of intent and commitment to that fan base. It shows that the Panthers are serious about making a statement and building momentum and heading into the regular season. But building momentum and confidence is another thing. Let's talk about that real quick. Finally, that's the final thing I'm going to harp on here on this rant is that preseason games aren't just about evaluating talent, in my opinion. They're also building confidence and rhythm. It's about building a solid performance against a tough Jets team who can provide the Panthers with a much-needed boost in confidence and cohesive. And if they go out there and get exposed, well, guess what? At least we know what we did wrong and how we can fix it. It's an opportunity to fine-tune our game, address any weaknesses, before heading into the regular season with a sense of accomplishment and a readiness. Who else is the Jets wide receiver? Lazard, yeah. So I'm just saying, man, that was my rant on why the Panthers need to bring out these starters and Bryce Young. That was just a little bit of a rant. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this now. Let's talk about the Matthew Judon that just came out. Let's talk about this let's talk about this because this is huge. This is huge news coming out of the NFL. Matthew Judon. I mean, the rumor mills are everywhere. Matthew Judon is finalizing a trade that will send Pro Bowler to the Falcons per source. And it actually came out. It's actually Ian Rappaport came out and said that they traded a 3rd-round pick for him. Matthew Judon is not just a pass rusher. He's a human wrecking ball that we're going to have to play twice this season now. Because over the past few seasons, I just want to let y'all guys know this. Judon has made a career of making quarterbacks wish they'd taken knitting instead of playing football. So that addition to the Falcons and that defensive line is akin to throwing a grenade to the Panthers' offensive game plans. And don't forget, they've already got Kirk Cousins. With everything else they got on that offense with Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney. Now you're going to expect more pressure and more sacks and more disruption in that pocket. For the Carolina, then you talk about Bryce Young. This trade is like adding an extra layer of hot sauce to an already spicy plate. You got Judon's relentless pursuit of the quarterback will mean that Bryce Young can expect to be under constant duress as long as our offensive line and, of course, our tackles can hold him off. Now, again, offensive lines will have to ingest that scheme and that triple team tactics just to keep the kid from being pancaked. The NFC South has been fiercely competitive, has been most I would say the most underrated, but has been the most it's hated on, but it's also been the worst. It has been the worst in the NFL for some time now. But the Falcons getting Matthew Judon is huge. We're going to have to recalibrate our strategies, not only dealing with this newfound menace, but it's also going to keep a pace in a division that is rapidly transforming into a high-octane slugfest. Judon joins the Falcons. It's like triggering a series of adjustments, man. The Panthers are going to need to reconsider their draft, are going to have to reconsider some things. They're going to need to look into some free agency plans. I think they need to add somebody else to bolster up that, not the offensive line. But really, we need to add somebody like a Judon. Obviously, we talked about the Hassan Reddick thing. It's not going to happen. It's totally out of. It's just not going to happen, man. But for us, this is not good. So we have a long-standing rivalry with the Atlanta Falcons, and they make this trade. It's about to even get more heated. So. Congrats to the Falcons, respect to them, but it doesn't do us any justice. I can tell you that much. So I appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight. Really appreciate it. Make sure you pound that like button, guys. I would really greatly appreciate it. Normally I'm live in the afternoons. That's what I've been doing lately, and y'all have been great. So, but I appreciate everyone joining. Make sure you pound that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, try to get this live up to 50 likes. I would greatly appreciate that. So shout out to all you guys. Discord, join the Discord. Don't forget about doing that. The link is down in the description below. Also, follow me on all my social media. I'm starting to post up on Instagram now too. Don't forget about BetUS, our sponsorship of today's video. Make sure you go check it out. Sign up for free today. Your first 3 bets, BetUS will match up to 125% on each of those first 3 bets. So make sure you go sign up for free today. And if you're a betting degenerate like myself, you should go sign up. So, and of course, guys, don't forget to go check out the NFC South Roundtable.
Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube, featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings, the AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST, the NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports. Real coverage from real fans.
So yeah, guys, don't forget about checking out Roundtable Sports and of course the NFC South Roundtable live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. EST. Of course, I am the Panthers host. So appreciate everyone joining the live stream tonight. Guys, make sure you do me a favor. Help me reach that live goal of course, 50 likes. Make sure you hit that live goal of 50 likes. Make sure you pound that like button like it owes you money. Love you guys. I'm out of here. I'm going to go kick back and chill with Mamacita. Peace.